You're listening to Naturally Speaking, hosted by me, Dr. Dave Wendel, here on the Sound Advice Hour on WCTC 1450 AM, the voice of Central Jersey, and I want to be your inspiration for healthy living. So we've been talking all night with Mark Spiezio, the owner of the Hearthstone Grill, located at Gatsmere Ave in Jamesburg, 306 Gatsmere. Yes, 306 Gatsmere. And so we've been talking about pizza, we've been talking about burgers, and we've been talking about cheese. I want to ask you a question, Mark. What's an Argentine grill?
It's part of what we built. Nowadays, everybody's got to look for shortcuts, and really, people knew how to cook very well 10,000 years ago. I wanted to cook over fire, and there's really two traditional ways to do it. One is a southern barbecue pit, which is basically a pit about 3 foot deep, made out of bricks, sometimes cinder block. And then there's an Argentine grill, which is actually a grill platform on a pulley system. Now, the Argentinians, they cook over a bed of coals. They don't actually like the taste of smoke, but they have infinite temperature control by using this pulley system. The southern barbecue pit actually has wonderful smoky flavor, but has no temperature control other than moving the fire or moving the meat. So I built my own pit and then put an Argentine grill inside of it so that we can get infinite temperature control and still get the smoky flavor and cook it over a natural fire.
Nice. So while we're talking about grills and stuff, I have to ask you this question. You know where this is going?
Oh, yeah.
What's Bob Marley at your place?
Well, if you ever drive by, you'll see a big silver device out in the front yard. That's our smoker. When my son was very small, he asked me to, I built this smoker to compete in the first ever New Jersey barbecue competition. And he said, Dad, the food comes out awesome. We got to name it. And he said, can you think of a famous smoker? And the only one that came to my mind was Bob Marley.
Marley.
He's stenciled on the outside of it, and we keep him smoking all week long. And once again, it comes back to the technology existed 10,000 years ago. We don't need to put all kinds of preservatives and chemicals inside of a turkey breast in order to make it delicious and smoky. We just cook it over an oak fire and let the smoke drift up about 2.5 feet so it cools off by the time it gets to the meat. So the meat cooks slowly and is actually preserved by the smoke.
Nice. Oh, and I have to tell you, delicious. Absolutely delicious. Mark, we got a Facebook in here. Vivian from Hopewell just sent us Facebook here, and she's asking about gluten. She states that 3 of her family members have been diagnosed as gluten sensitive, and now they have a gluten-free home, but they still suffer with digestive tract disorders. She's asking us, do we have any insight on this, and what do we suggest? Well, first off, Vivian, my suggestion is be careful of gluten-free, because gluten-free does not mean zero gluten. It just means the gluten level of products is below that which they're stating. And I always say, if you have a gluten issue, go wheat-free. You don't need to have wheat. And if you try wheat-free, see how your body responds for a little while. Mark, what do you say on this?
Well, as a chef, I have a very strong opinion about in 2 ways. Number one is I don't like to disguise the food. I like the food to be in the format it's supposed to be. So if you want gluten-free, don't eat pizza because it has gluten. Mm-hmm. It's flour. Its nature is to be full of gluten. So eat meat, eat chicken breast, eat turkey, eat vegetables. And that is what your body is telling you to consume. The second thing is, if you're just a little sensitive, like I was with the pizza when I was driving around eating the slices and I would get a little agita, well, I came across a book a friend of mine gave to me when I was obsessively baking called Tartine, and it changed my life. It's written by a young chef, went to France and apprenticed himself to a 300-year-old baking family. And he came back to America and wrote a book about it. And he is the one who taught Americans to cook with wild yeast. That's where I learned to make my pizza dough. I combined a pizza dough recipe along with his tartine baking recipe. Now, his place in San Francisco, in his book, he says there are many cases where people with sensitivities can come in and eat loaves of his bread baked only with wild yeast, and they don't have any gluten reaction whatsoever. Now, I wouldn't say that that is what's going to happen with our pizza because we do use both yeasts in it, but I do know from personal experience it doesn't give me agita at all, and a lot of people that I know that are just sensitive to gluten don't have that problem.
Fantastic. So, Vivian, I would recommend take a trip over to the Hearthstone Grill in Jamesburg and have Mark cook you and your family up a fantastic meal. Now, I got to switch a little bit of gears, and I know we talk about health all the time, okay? But we got to talk about beer. I know some of you out there going, what? We got to talk about beer because this man, I know, what's the name of the place? Wood-Fired Grill and Small Batch Brewery. So tell me about the Small Batch Brewery.
Well, it just makes sense if you're going to eat pizza, chicken wings, hamburgers, to have a delicious beer fits right in. And it also fits into what we're talking about, quality, natural product. We brew in a very small batch. It's a 30-gallon batch. Most of the breweries are brewing 1,100 gallons at a clip, and you need to move a lot of beer. We're a little place, 80-seat restaurant in Jamesburg, and we don't sell 1,000 gallons of beer a month. And really, after 30 days, your beer should get thrown away. So I really wanted to create craft beer that complemented all the other healthy options on our menu and use the same level of ingredients, but do it in a small enough batch that I could keep it fresh and keep changing it. And in fact, the waitress's number one complaint is that I change them a lot. You'll come in 3 times a week and I'll have different beers on tap. Just keep it fresh, interesting, and delicious.
Nice. Nice. We just got a Facebook in from Liz from Sayreville. And Liz says, you know, she's been driving by the Hearthstone Grill upon occasion and hasn't seen any tanks for beer. And she wants to know, well, where do you make the beer?
Well, I make it right in my kitchen. Beer is, believe it or not, just soup. Instead of feeding it to the customers, you feed it to yeast. And then you ferment it and then carbonate it, and it turns into a delicious product. But by doing it in 30-gallon batches, I don't need to have huge tanks and the expense of the tanks as well.
Nice. Now, do you offer that in bottles or draft, or how do you serve that up?
We serve it in pints in-house and growlers, which we actually can give you to go, or we can deliver it to your house.
Fantastic. Now, I do have to return a little bit to health here, okay? And believe me, that there's some good health involved in that. Vegetables. Do you offer vegetables on a regular basis?
Every day, yes. And I try and get as quality, locally produced as I can. In fact, right now, if you look on my countertop, I started preserving a can as well, and we sell canned products. The farm right down the street on Dye Road, Protnick Farms, had the most sweet corn that I've ever tasted ever in my life. So I ended up buying 8 bushels. They're 80 pounds a piece.
Right.
And we took them off the cob, and I preserved them so that we'll be able to have delicious, healthy, local produced corn all through the winter. And I sell some of that to the customers as well, but I use it in my own recipes. I use it in my sweet corn chowder. I use it in my roasted corn salsa. So I try and capture the flavors of New Jersey, and we are the Garden State.
We are. As I look over here on the other side, I see Alyssa here just, looking at me like with those hungry eyes saying, hey, we have to get out of here and get some food. Yeah, this is pretty awesome. So listen, you are listening to Naturally Speaking, hosted by me, Dr. Dave Wendel, here on the Sound Advice Hour on WCTC 1450 AM, the voice of Central Jersey. And tonight, we really want to be your inspiration for healthy living and healthy eating. So during this evening's show, remember to like our Facebook page at facebook.com/healthynj, or you can like Hearthstone Grill No, there is no backslash on that. I apologize. It's Facebook.com/Hearthstone Grill. At the conclusion of tonight's show, we are going to be picking 10 lucky winners for our new likes to win $100 off a breast thermography scan. All new contacts from tonight's show are going to receive a free health audit from me, Dr. Dave. It's a $200 value to help determine whether functional medicine would be the right choice for you. So don't delay. Facebook us tonight. Health audit does include a review of your symptom survey printed off our website at docwendel.com. So tonight, if you're just tuning in, we do have Mark Spiezio, the owner of Hearthstone Grill. We've covered a good array of topics. We've talked about the pizza that they make there and how he uses a nice a wild strain of yeast and how he cultivates that. It's just fantastic. We've talked about burgers. We've talked about vegetables, his grill, his Bob Marley big smoker that he has out by the street. What a marvelous device. And if you're driving by and you see smoke coming out of that, I'm telling you, slow down, open your windows, and take a deep breath in. It's fantastic. He's told us about some fantastic beer that he can make there as well. And in just a moment, we're going to be taking a break. And when we come back from break, we're going to have something really important to talk about, which I think for his place really takes it up another notch. And it's something that's really magical. And he's smiling right now. I just gave it away about what questions I'm going to ask him when he comes back. So don't delay. Don't turn that dial. We'll be back in just a few minutes.